Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I know you guys are networking and putting together some real good billion-dollar deals. I'm sorry I had to interrupt, but just give me a couple seconds and I will let you guys go ahead and proceed, and as long as you put me in for 5%.
Hi.
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming out. For those who do not know who I am, my name is Scott X. Esdale. I am the state president of the Connecticut NAACP. I'm also a national board member of the NAACP, representing from Delaware to Maine. So thank you for coming. Give yourselves a round of applause. Welcome, welcome, welcome. First, I'd like to thank the commissioner of DECD, David Lehman, who is one of our partners for this particular event. I also want to thank the CBIA, also the Connecticut Hospital Association, Jennifer Jackson and her team. I'd like to thank Marco Jakian and the Connecticut State College and University. Let's give them all a round of applause in their hospitality. I'd like to thank the Black and Puerto Rican Caucus. I see State Representative Tony Walker, please stand, Joshua Hall, and Robin Porter is on her way. She's getting a parking space. Yes. Also want to thank the Connecticut Manufacturing Collaborative and the Department of Corrections and our Commissioner Roland Cook. Let's give them all a round of applause. To all the dignitaries, the elected officials, to commissioners, to the clergy, to formerly incarcerated individuals, to government officials, to governors' appointees, to educators, to business leaders, and all the supporters that we have, to the foundation leaders and the people from the giving community. I see my dear friend, Mr. Will Ginsberg in the house. Let's give him a round of applause also. We got some serious players in here. And I also wanted to acknowledge my partner who serves on the National Board of Directors with me, Mr. Alan Lazowski. He's the president and founder of Laz Park, and let's give him a round of applause also. And to all the members of the NAACP, to my new assistant, who is a senior here at Southern Connecticut State University. He's in the back. Let's give him a round of applause to Jalen White. He's a senior here at Southern. And this is his first project. He's been working tirelessly on it. We threw him right in the middle of the frying pan, and he's been doing the job. So we're really proud of this young man, and we know he's going to do some great things after he graduates here at Southern. To the president of this fine, fine university, President Joe Bertolino. Let's give him a round of applause. Where's Joe at? Come on, please stand, Joe. Show off that tie, man. Isn't that tie sharp? That's my man. To my sister, Carla Esdale Bragg, who was the alumni of Southern Connecticut State University. She's out signing everybody in. She's a worker. To everyone that's come out, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you for your support on this particular endeavor. I'm going to go into what the Million Jobs campaign is real quickly. This is a very, very, very serious project. It means a lot to the NAACP. I'm also the National Criminal Justice Chair for the NAACP also. So this is a pilot project here in the state of Connecticut that we plan on laying out all across the country. In 1986, there were 6,000 people incarcerated across the state of Connecticut. 1986, 6,000 people incarcerated across the state of Connecticut. Several years ago, it went up to 24,000 in this little small state. So Governor Malloy at the time was a former state's attorney, wanted to reduce the numbers because he knew that the majority of the individuals that are in our prison system are nonviolent offenders. Nonviolent offenders. So his goal was to get it down to 10,000. His goal was to get it down to 10,000. And now, from what I'm told, Governor Lamont wants to get it down to 8,000. Wants to get it down to 8,000. It costs $60,000 to incarcerate someone in the state of Connecticut. It's a lot of money. And we know that the majority of these individuals are black and brown people. So they're coming to the communities that we serve. The NAACP has 16 branches across the state of Connecticut, 8 youth councils, and 8 college chapters. So the majority of these individuals are coming to the communities that we serve. The question is, are we prepared for these individuals coming back? Are we ready for these individuals? And majority of us in this room would say, no, we're not prepared for this. So we know that if people cannot find a meaningful way to put food on their table, there's going to be some violence in our communities also. And we don't want the violence to escalate in our communities. So we need to be smart. We need to reach out to our network and reach out to our relationships. The NAACP is the largest and oldest civil rights organization in the world. We have over 500,000 members, 2,200 branches worldwide. We have relationships with pretty much all of the major players in America. The question is, how do we connect the dots and make sure that we are being smart in reference to how we deal with criminal justice reform? So years ago, it was all about lock them up, lock them up, lock them up, lock them up. We see that individuals are being a lot more smart in reference to dealing with the opiate crisis. Now they're talking about rehab, and they're talking about mental health services. But before, when the crack crisis was going on, it was all about lock them up, lock them up, lock them up. And that's what got us into this nonsense. But it's very important that we come together and deal with this in a lot more intelligent way. So, when we talk about 1 million jobs, there's 70 to 100 million people have been affected by the criminal justice system. 70 to 100 nationwide. Now there's approximately 300 million people in America. 300 million people in America, and Connecticut has approximately 3 million people in our state. That means we're 1% of the nation. 1% of the nation. So what's 1% of 1 million jobs? That would be 10,000 jobs. So the question is, can we get 10,000 jobs in the state of Connecticut? When we go to California, they're 12%, so we try to get 120,000 jobs in California. Texas is primarily 10%, so we'll try to get 100,000 jobs in Texas. New York is 8%, we'll try to get 80,000 jobs there. But the pilot project is here in Connecticut. Due to the fact that I'm from Connecticut, I asked the National Board of Directors, can we start the pilot project in Connecticut? And they gave me the approval to do it here in Connecticut. Thank you. So, these are some of the statistics and facts that we're dealing with. The number of Americans with criminal backgrounds is about the same as the number of Americans with a 4-year degree. As I stated earlier, between 70 to 100 million Americans have criminal backgrounds that could show up in a background check. There's some kids that, there was 4 kids in the car, there was a bag of marijuana, nobody wanted to fess up to the marijuana, they all got arrested, and they didn't get convicted, but they just got arrested, and that would stop them from being a police officer, stop them from being a fireman, and so on and so on and so on. So it's just a blemish on their records. And they were around the wrong crowd when they were 15, 16. You're holding this over their head now that they're 25, 26, 27, and 30, and so on. Let's go to the next slide. 2011 study of 100 formerly incarcerated people in Philadelphia demonstrates the effects of securing employment. Increased their combined lifetime earnings by 55 million. Increased their tax contributions by 1.9 million. Boosted sales tax revenues by 770,000. Saved more than 2 million annually by keeping them out of the criminal justice system. NAACP efforts to increase fair chance hiring. Given the significance of this issue, the NAACP has been active locally as well as nationally. These efforts include pursuing state and federal ban-the-box policies and laws, engaging employers about the benefits of fair chance hiring, educating the NAACP state and local units on the importance of fair chance policies, working with national partners to provide education on the employment needs of individuals with criminal backgrounds. The NAACP has taken its advocacy to a new level by launching the 1 Million Jobs campaign here in Connecticut. Come on, Connecticut, let's go. We're gonna do this, right? So we have the whole country watching Connecticut right now around criminal justice reform and striving to get jobs for the formerly incarcerated. Let's go to the next slide. 1 Million Jobs campaign will leverage the NAACP's relationships with major corporations to create 1 million jobs for people with criminal backgrounds beginning in Connecticut. Highlight corporations that have banned the box and prioritize fair chance hiring, create accountability and transparency around fair chance hiring goals and employment initiatives. Connecticut, as a starting point in Connecticut, an aggressive team has begun the work of the 1 Million Jobs campaign. Myself, Alan Lazowski, and Sansare Cicero, who is a young lady that's a manager of human resources at Walgreens, is helping us facilitate this also. The Connecticut State Conference of NAACP launched the 1 Million Jobs campaign in April. Now we're actually sitting down and talking to the companies, and we want to talk to you all about best practices. Now, John Hopkins Hospital is one of the most progressive institutions in the nation of hiring formerly incarcerated individuals. That's why we have the senior human resource director here to come speak to you all, to talk about the barriers that they have overcome, and also talk to you all about how we could have their successful program be emulated here in the state of Connecticut. Moving on. What's next? Secure 10,000 opportunities for employment within the state of Connecticut over the next 3 years by engaging employers, partners, state agencies on the benefits of fair chance hiring, train the NAACP state and local units on the importance of these policies, develop a measure of compliance surrounding sustaining and retaining employment, educate state politicians on the barriers and challenges impeding employment opportunities for individuals with criminal backgrounds such as housing, transportation, double jeopardy, stigma placed on employment opportunities, background check, and ban the box process in the First Step Act, which was just passed on the federal level. We want to give our families, the communities, and the companies a second chance. This is what the Million Jobs campaign is all about. Thank you. So we're going to have some individuals come up and speak. I also wanted to acknowledge my dear friend that's been working very closely with me on this, Senator Doug McCauley from Hartford. Let's give him a round of applause. I also think I've seen former Senator Gomes in the house. Is he still in here? Stand up. He's in the building too. We're working tirelessly on creating jobs for individuals over the years. So we have some major players in the house today. And next we're going to have come up and speak. If you could put the agenda back on, because I don't remember it by heart. We're going to have the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Connecticut, my friend and yours. Let's bring up Susan Bicewicz.
A round of applause for Scott X. Exdale. What an advocate for criminal justice reform. Thank you so much for having me here, and good afternoon to everyone. I want to thank the partners who came together to put this event on. Our Department of Economic and Community Development, under the leadership of our Commissioner, David Lehman, And stand up, all of the DECD folks, because there are many in the room. They are all amazing, and they can't wait to help companies create good paying jobs in our state. And thank you, Commissioner Lehman. The Connecticut NAACP, as well, the Connecticut State Colleges and Universities, and the fearless leader, President Mark Ojakian. Thank you for what you do, sir. And our Black and Hispanic Caucus at the legislature and the Connecticut Hospital Association. So to the many companies who are here, welcome. The governor and I have so appreciated your partnership over the past 9 months. We have been engaging the business community in conversations about how we can better our economy and move our state forward, and we've been so impressed with your willingness to come to the table and to step up and help. Our state is open for business. We're growing, and we hope that you will join this amazing 1 million jobs campaign. The governor and I are focused on economic development, attracting new companies to Connecticut, and also helping the companies that are here grow and succeed and create good paying jobs. Connecticut is doing our part by being in constant contact with our business leaders. We're balancing our budget. We closed an almost $4 billion deficit without raising taxes, and we're also trying to prepare for our workforce needs, which is where you all come in. Because today, there are millions of Americans and thousands of people in our state that have a criminal record. These are people who have or will re-enter their communities and need employment to build stability and find success after incarceration. And so we have to break down the barriers and address some of the challenges that those folks face when they re-engage in the workforce. And when companies break down those barriers and open their doors and provide second chances, they have a positive impact not just on the people that they employ, but the families in Connecticut and the health of their own businesses. So, in other words, doing good is really good for business, and that's especially true in our state. Right now we have one of the lowest unemployment rates we've ever had. Everywhere you look, people are looking for good people to hire. Our state, over the next couple of years, is going to be hiring more than 30,000 people in the advanced manufacturing field. So we are looking for great people, and this is an important pipeline for our state. I recently had the opportunity to visit a great company in Norwich. It's called Atlantic City Linen Supply. They're a very successful business. They launder linens and uniforms for many businesses across the state, including many hospitals and both of our casinos. They are looking to expand. They operate 2 shifts a day, and I had the opportunity to walk through their facility in Norwich and meet some amazing men and women who got a second chance and have proved that they can be reliable, dependable, hard-working employees who want to succeed. And not only have they succeeded at the most basic level, they are going into management level positions at that company. And here's what the owner of American City Linen Supply said. He looks for the opportunity to employ formerly incarcerated people because they are such loyal, dedicated, and dependable employees. And I think that's a really important message for our employers who are here, the companies that are here seeking new employees, to hear. And if you have any doubt, you should definitely talk to the CEO of Atlantic City Linen, who will tell you his story. And I also would encourage company leaders to go visit and talk to some of the amazing employees that are there who have shown that second chance opportunities really work. So the governor and I are so proud to be partnering with the NAACP in this really important initiative. Connecticut has led the way on so many fronts. Here's another way, and it's going to help our economy here in Connecticut. So I hope that Connecticut companies will take advantage of this important opportunity, and I am looking forward to learning more. Thank you so much, Scott.
The next individual has been working real hard to make sure that we had some great hospitality for this event. He's been working really hard in this particular community to create opportunities. He's also been working hard on making sure people get their right parking, Ms. Robin Porter. Ms. Robin Porter, the president of the university was helping to make sure that you were parking right. So we'd like to bring the president of the Southern Connecticut State University, Joseph Bertolino. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Scott. How's that parking? Welcome to Southern Connecticut State University. We're delighted that you're here, Lieutenant Governor, all of our dignitaries, all of our friends. Appreciate you finding your way to our beautiful campus. And today is a great day to explore the campus. If you'd like to do that throughout the course of the day after your visit here, and feel free to come and visit us at any time. We're very pleased to host and play host to the 1 Million Jobs campaign corporate network reception. Indeed, I would have to say that Fair Chance Hiring Initiative, which is fostering employment opportunities for formerly incarcerated men and women, mirrors the mission of Southern. It mirrors the mission of a regional public university. And it is the reason that Southern is here, to be a university committed to social justice and to be a university committed to the neighborhood and the state in which it resides. Access has been a core value for us for 125 years. We started as a small teaching college with 84 students and 3 faculty. Today, we are a comprehensive university of around 10,000 students, and I would share with you over 40% of those students are students of color. We serve a highly diverse institution, and we take great pride in that as the demographics of our institution continue to change and grow. We just completed an anniversary commemoration last Friday. Some of you were there. Thank you for your support. With a gala that raised more than $135,000 to support students' basic needs: food, shelter, childcare, etc. The evening was extraordinary. Thank you. In my view, Southern has a moral responsibility to open doors for our students and empower them through higher education. And Southern, I would like you to know, is here to partner. We are here to serve, and we are here to partner. And I invite you to feel free to pick up the phone or send us an email and say, we would like to partner with you. How can we do that? We are right here. Please take advantage of us and that opportunity. In case you didn't know, since the Lieutenant Governor is here, 85% of the students we graduate here at Southern stay in the state of Connecticut and go on to become key contributors to the state's economy. That is very important because for us, this is social justice in action, and it's what helps to define us as Southern Connecticut State University. Finally, I want to thank Scott and the NAACP leadership for spearheading this important initiative in our state. And I'd like to commend the industry and nonprofits and our educational leaders present here today who understand and support its economic and social benefits. And that includes my boss, the president of the Connecticut State College and University System, Mark Jakian, whom I have the pleasure of introducing this afternoon. As many of you know, prior to becoming president of the system, Mark had a stellar career as a government official in Connecticut that spanned decades. His service to the state and his many accomplishments in support of Connecticut citizens is well known and well respected. And since 2015, President Jakian has led the CSCU system, its 17 colleges, its 85,000 students with distinction. Through the system's Student First initiative, he is leading the charge to transform higher education in our state. It is truly an incredible and an amazing plan. Please join me in welcoming Mark Jakian.
Thank you, President Joe. I didn't know you were going to be introducing me, or I would have helped edit your remarks. I said to Jennifer, I always love when they say decades, right? That means that you're old. But no, it really is a great honor to be here. And I think as we start out, it's always about parking. But Laz, you're here. Joe, you're here. Maybe you can partner on some parking initiatives coming forward. But no, I'm just here to once again thank Scott for his leadership, thank the NAACP for this incredible opportunity that they've given us here in the state of Connecticut to really move this initiative forward. When Scott first came to me and suggested that we partner on this, I was all in. But as many of you know, when Scott calls, you say yes, right? And that's why we are here today. But I couldn't be more proud and honored to be a partner in this endeavor. We in our system are doing great things to provide opportunities for individuals who are incarcerated, and once they get out, they have a guaranteed job. In 2016, 4 of our community colleges were chosen to become a model, 67 total institutions, 4 in Connecticut, a model for second chance. And under this initiative, inmates can receive Pell Grants to be in a post-secondary course of study, whether it's to get a certificate or work towards their associate's degree. And to date, we've helped 962 individuals move through that process. Now, you might say, well, that's great, 4 of your institutions. Why aren't you working with all of them? Well, a quarter of a century ago, many decades, there was a prohibition put in federal law which prohibited inmates from receiving Pell Grants to pursue post-secondary education options while they were in prison. And we're working with our federal delegation right now to overturn that so that all of our institutions will be able to provide these opportunities. You know, when you go to a commencement in a prison and you look at the faces of the inmates and their families, and you watch them with pride come up and get a certificate in advanced manufacturing or in business administration. And when people stop you and say, thank you, I never thought somebody would give me another chance in my life. And these are not people that are 18, 19, and 20 years old. These are men and women that are 30, 40, 50, that have spent many, many years in prison. They now have an opportunity. We work all over our state with our manufacturing community to find these folks jobs. They gladly take on the responsibility of hiring these folks. We have more to do. We have some manufacturers here today who, when we network, you can meet them. They're not afraid to take a risk, and it's not a risk. These are the hardest working, most loyal employees that they have. So we want to continue this effort. We want to continue the partnership. We want to continue to make sure that Connecticut reaches its goal and exceeds the goal of 10,000 workers. And for our part, in the Connecticut State College and the universities, we're all in. So thank you, Scott.
So, as I stated earlier, the number one employers in urban areas, since the factories have left the inner cities, the number one employers now are the hospitals. And this young lady is very, very important to this mission. She is the president of the Connecticut Hospital Association, and her name is Mrs. Jennifer Jackson. Let's give her a round of applause. As the young lady takes the stage.
Wow, thank you for that young comment. I hope someone recorded that for my children because it's regularly pointed out to me just how old and out of touch I am. But thank you, Scott. And good afternoon to all of you. It is an honor to be here today representing Connecticut's hospitals. And it is especially an honor and affirming to be in a room full of individuals and organizations who share a passion for advancing social justice. Connecticut hospitals are national leaders in the call to action for equity in healthcare, and we embrace our responsibility for change. I'm proud that we are joined today by representatives of every hospital and health system in Connecticut, demonstrating their commitment to this initiative. You know hospitals for the care that they deliver, and indeed they are committed to delivering high quality, safe care every day to everyone who needs it, regardless of their ability to pay. But there's more to hospitals. They are committed to keeping their communities healthy, and they've engaged in a tremendous amount of work to do that. As part of our work to do that, and the hospitals, we're very blessed in the state that the hospitals recognize that their efforts are amplified through collaboration, and so they regularly work together through the association. And we have launched a statewide initiative to partners with others, particularly community-based organizations, to address social determinants of health. It's probably a term that increasingly you're hearing about, and we certainly in the healthcare community and the health business recognize the tremendous impact that those factors in our environments and our communities that impact health, such as an adequate supply of food and appropriate healthy food, such as housing, transportation, and employment. And so we view the Million Jobs campaign as an exciting opportunity for our social determinants of health initiative. We are determined to tackle this in partnership with others throughout the state. As Scott talked about, and I appreciate his recognition of the hospital's role in their communities, they are economic cornerstones of their communities, and they are employers of choice. And as such, they are committed to developing an engaged and diverse workforce. We believe that employment opportunities lead to enhanced lives. And so we are pleased to join the Million Jobs campaign. We too are all in. Thank you, Scott, for your leadership and for always challenging us to do better. We are proud to work in partnership with the NAACP toward our shared mission of ensuring the health and well-being of all persons. Thank you, Scott, for including us.
Next individual, I have to be honest with you. In the beginning, I had some serious skepticism about this guy. And Scott Semple and I are very close friends. He was the commissioner prior to this. And when he told me that he was retiring, I was really concerned. I said, so if you're going to pick another person, you got to pick someone that's, on your level and ready to do the same type of work. I said, well, where's this guy from? He said, he's from Utah. I said, you must be out of your mind. So he said, Scott, you got to meet this guy. I said, man, somebody from Utah? I said, how many black people in Utah? He said, listen, this guy is out of sight. He's on it, and you're going to love this guy. So he introduced the two of us, and he and I have been very, very close. He is on it. He's on top of it, and Scott couldn't have chosen a better person. Let's bring up the new commissioner of the Department of Corrections, Mr. Roland Cook.
Well, that's tough. That's rough. Good afternoon, everybody. I want you to know it's an absolute honor to be talking with you today about this new and rewarding endeavor. As Scott said, I'm Roland Cook, and I proudly serve as our commissioner for the Connecticut Department of Corrections, and I state this with passion and conviction because this state, there's a reason why I chose to come to Connecticut, you guys. I could have easily been done. I was retired. We've done a lot of corrections reform. We've done some criminal justice reform in Utah, but I knew that Connecticut was something different. Because this state, under the leadership of Governor Ned Lamont, Lieutenant Governor Bysewicz, and the legislators, everywhere I go, they're there supporting, wanting to know, Roland, what are you going to do? What's next? Community leaders like Scott Isdale. And sometimes the people that's not talked about here quite enough is the dedicated corrections professionals that work for the Department of Corrections that are open-minded and said, let's go, let's find ways to do this. As someone that's worked in the criminal justice field for more than 30 years, I know that we do a whole lot of talking when it comes to criminal justice. And the NAACP caught my attention when they decided the time is now to act. The concept here is fairly simple, and the solution can be two. How would you describe the basic needs for survival? You've heard it from a couple of our speakers today. Some say, food or water or shelter. Perhaps those are true. But let's have a real conversation about what it takes to survive in today's society. Without a job, there's no home, there's no shelter, and there certainly isn't any food or water without money to purchase it. So when it comes right down to it, people need employment and a steady, livable wage to survive. It's that simple. Ideally, we would like something above and beyond a job. That's the one thing I'm always screaming about is I want more than just jobs for these folks. I want careers, and that's why we have you here today. Something that brings one's purpose and pride. Every single one of us, we feel that purpose and pride at the conclusion of each hard work day. Now imagine that you have 1, 2, maybe 3 strikes. How about 4 strikes against you as you search for a job? That's the reality with the population of people that we work with and prepare for reentry. Imagine you have a criminal record, that you've served a period of incarceration. Imagine you don't have any references. You can't provide any consistent job history, and chances are, on top of all this, you're challenged. You have challenges associated with addiction and a fractured family support system and a lack of overall confidence. Just imagine what that feels like. And if you can't, let me paint the picture for you. Because no one knows this better than those of us serving in corrections and those living it every single day. They don't make it past the application process. Their odds are slim to none, with little to no hope in sight for a real chance. There is good news, though, so I'm done with the negative. And we can change this. And when you really think about it, it will require one thing from every single one of you here. And that's courage. It's stoic courage. Being patient enough to see this thing through and know that not everyone is going to be perfect, that they're going to make mistakes. Courage to take a chance on someone, another human being. Courage to look past someone's rap sheet. Courage to give someone an opportunity when their mistakes are so unpleasant that some might believe that they may not deserve one. They paid their debt and served their court-imposed sentence. Collectively, we can stop the lifelong sentence that occurs when society won't forgive and provide these people the chance to succeed. For our part, from a Department of Corrections point of view, we vow to continue to provide educational and vocational programs job readiness training to best prepare offenders for transition. We're going to continue to provide opportunities to prepare for reentry through programming and rehabilitation. And we will continue to expand opportunities for family reunification and connect folks with housing opportunities. You have our commitment. We're going to uphold our end of the bargain. So before I hand this over to our next speaker, I just want to personally thank each and every one of you today for choosing to be courageous. You're a true partner to the Department of Corrections, and your presence here speaks to your love for the community and for the people we all serve. Let's get to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. This next guy started as a valet parker, and he now runs a company with 13,000 employees. They do about $1.5 billion a year in business. He serves on the National Board of Directors of the NAACP. We travel around the country together. He's on the National Criminal Justice Committee, so he serves with me. And he wakes me up every morning at 6 o'clock, telling me and giving me instructions on what I need to be doing. He is the hardest working dude that I've known in my life, and he's really passionate about putting in work, not just writing checks, but also putting in the work. So I'd like to bring up our national board member of the NAACP, Mr. Alan Lazowski.
Now, we all know that Scott's a bit of a showman, but his passion and his vision deserves a big round of applause and a big thank you. It's my great honor to serve on the National Board with Scott and on the Criminal Justice Committee. And he mentioned earlier that Connecticut is the launch state. And Connecticut is a launch state because Scott's pretty persuasive, but Connecticut is a launch state for more than that. Connecticut deserves, out of any state in the nation, to be the launch state because of the leaders in this room, because what we have accomplished thus far with criminal justice reform and what we have done in our correctional institutions, starting with what Dan Malloy did, with the former commissioner, with Roland, what you've picked up, with Lieutenant Governor, with what Ned Lamont's doing, with what Marco Jakian started. We have the #1 programs in the state, the True program at Cheshire, the Worth program in Niantic, those are world-renowned programs that we've been a part of that allow people to train, to be in units with mentors, with lifers that are in prison that become mentors to young adults, that teach them that there's another way, and allow companies to come in prior to their release, meet these individuals where they're trained, where we interview them, and when they get out of prison, there's a job waiting. Now, there's a statistic that we didn't talk about, that if you have a job when you get out of prison, less than 15% of those people are going back into prison. If you don't have a job, more than 60% of those people are going into prison. It's a staggering nationwide statistic. We've proven that it works here in Connecticut, and that's why we deserve to be the launch state to create 10,000 jobs for the Million Jobs campaign. So thank you, Scott, for that. A little bit of a personal note. Why am I so passionate about this, and why is Laz so passionate about it? And people that know me know that I'm best known for my dad, Rabbi Philip Lazowski, and Lieutenant Governor honored my father just last week when he got inducted into the Connecticut Immigration Hall of Fame. And both my parents are Holocaust survivors, and my dad was facing death at 12 years old in a selection line, separated from his mother, father, 3 brothers, and a sister, and he was going to go to a pit to be shot. But a young woman pretended that he was her son, never met him before, and saved his life. Later on in life, he found that woman to thank her and married her daughter, which was a 7-year-old girl in line. And my dad has become the greatest spiritual leader in Connecticut for the past 64 years, and my mom and dad are both still alive at 89 and 84. And I grew up with the spirit that anything's possible in life, you never ever give up, and when you have a chance to bring your humanity to the moment and help somebody, you do it. And Laz has always had that spirit of conscious capitalism, of elevating humanity through business and giving the opportunity to give back and help people and take care of all your stakeholders. About 20 years ago, a young man came to Laz and he went to one of our greatest leaders, Jim Marzi, who runs the state of Connecticut and is a partner with us. And this man was dealing drugs at a pretty high level, and he wanted to change his ways before he either got killed or went to jail. And we gave him an opportunity 20 years ago, and he started from the bottom as we all did, and he was a valet parker, he was a parking attendant, he was a man who became a manager, and he became a supervisor, and 20 years later, he is a tremendous leader in the Laz organization. He's a pastor of his own church in the toughest neighborhood in Hartford, and he personally mentors and trains our returning citizens for Laz, and we now have 250 employees at Laz because of Will Cordera, who's in the room here, and Will, stand up and say, I want to say thank you to Will. I just want to thank everyone, all the other corporations in the state, and we have tremendous leaders here and tremendous corporations, and the Hospital Association, thank you so very, very much. And Mark, thank you so very, very much for your passion and your commitment. We have to do this together. It is not easy. Everyone in this room is now anointed an ambassador of this mission. We need everyone's help. We need to sign up corporations, and we need to get to work. Thank you very much.
He's on fire, huh? Let's give another shout out to Will, man. Let's give him another round of applause. Love you, brother. Keep up the great job. So I'm not going to introduce the keynote speaker. I gave this mission to my new assistant, who's been on the job for 2 weeks. He's a senior here, so I said, man, I'm going to put you up on stage and you're going to introduce the keynote speaker, because it's important for us to support our young people. Is that right? All right, so let's bring him on up here. The first time, second week, but with the NAACP, let's give it up to Mr. Jalen White.
All right, everyone. I just found out about this a little, hour ago. But, so I just wanted to say, it's great to see everyone out here today. I just been working on the campaign and everything, trying to get us all together and on the right page. I know a lot of people are affected by the criminal justice system. I have families that have been affected, and, I just want to make a change for everyone. I'm glad you all came. We're really doing God's work. We can say I brought us together, but God brought us together, guys. And just a little, But I just want to give a little background about Ms. Kerr-Donovan here. She's actually the chair of the Baltimore Workforce Development Board. She served as a leader in the healthcare, retail, higher education, and hospitality industries. She's a member of the Human Resources team for Hopkins Local, which is an anchor institution economic inclusion initiative. She's also a member of the Baltimore Integration Partnership and the Democracy Collaborative. She has served on various institutes, Pathways Project National Advisory Board, and is a member. She's also the Senior Director of Human Resources at Johns Hopkins University. And enough of all of that. She probably could tell you enough merits about herself when she comes up here herself, but I just want to, just reiterate that she's the Senior Human Resources Director for one of the largest, employers of the formerly incarcerated. And let's just give her a round of applause, y'all. She came out to Connecticut. to come show us some love, Ms. Kerr-Donovan.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I feel humbled to be here today and just so very thankful to Scott and the NAACP. I'm in such great company, Lieutenant Governor, the presidents of the university, and of all of our great speakers here. I'm going to share a little bit about the work that we do at Hopkins and the work in this space in workforce development. And I couldn't agree more with the work and the statements that were shared today. We should be looking and thinking about our communities. But in this work, I want to add another slant to it. This is about your business. And if you're committed to the communities in Connecticut, this is about getting the best talent for your businesses and really investing in the communities around you. And that means the people who comprise those communities. And there's no way as employers here that you will continue to grow and develop if you're committed to the communities in Connecticut in which you do your business, if you're not looking at the people around you and those who may be disconnected. Oh, great, I didn't even realize, okay, good. So part of the work that we've done was a result of workforce shortages back in the late 90s. And I'm going to talk a bit about sort of how the organization came to the place that we are now with our processes. And a few of the things that we're doing now, we're by no means in a perfect space, but I think the starting is the key thing. And recognizing that this is not work that you do alone. I like to say that even the Lone Ranger had help. And in all of the things that we do, this is definitely work that is done in partnerships. And so our commitment to Baltimore has stemmed right from our benefactor in his letter to his trustees about the commitment to the well-being and health of the Baltimore community. And when you look at the news and read about what's happening in Baltimore, as it's happening in a lot of cities around the country, we have some work. We have high crime. We have been hit by the opioid crisis like every other city. We're working with our educational system, our secondary educational system, helping to better graduate students with the skill sets that are needed. Infrastructure. We're trying to make sure that we have the supports needed to continue building the infrastructure in the city that will cause more employers and more families to move and to Baltimore. And this is about putting people to work, able-bodied, skilled individuals who, for whatever the reason, the lens of our eyes can't see their talent or whatever unconscious biases we may hold, keeps us from really tapping into talent, which is really making sure that we have people investing in the tax base that pays for the cops and the fire department and the people that maintain the roads and all of the things that create a community and a society of wealth, health, and well-being. And so we can't afford not to really make sure that we're tapping into those within our communities. And investing in people is something that, when you talk about determinants of health and well-being, and all of those things are important, but it's the neglect of a human being that really corrodes everything. And so if we are not engaging everyone within our communities, we are then really killing our own communities and our businesses. So we made that commitment. You can just have that run straight through until we get to our community entrance. Sorry, it's an old. So that's the commitment that we had in looking at our shortages and saying, where are we missing the boat? So as an organization, it was our executive leadership. It didn't start, and I'm not saying that you don't need the support of the managers and the supervisors, but it was the president of our health system, Ron Peterson. It was our VP of HR, Pamela Polk. It was our VP of Security, Harry Koffenberger. And I wasn't even here yet at Hopkins when they started, but I remember and worked with these individuals, and our senior legal counsel, Larice Royal, who's still working with us, that really said, how are we going to approach this shortage and also recognize as an anchor institution committed to our city the responsibility we have, because we're partners with our city, to make sure that we are uplifting not only our communities, but in doing so ourselves. So it's that inward look first. With this work, everyone's looking to look outwardly. Okay, let's do this, let's do that, let's go out there, and that's important. But I think I challenge everyone to look hard at your organization. And what we did was we looked at the business case, which we knew we needed to make this a business case. As wonderful as it is to invest in folks, it's also the smart business case for a company that's committed to the city. And then we looked at our processes, and it starts in HR. Our legal counsel looked at precedents across the nation of disparate treatment in hiring, litigation, because everyone's so nervous about lawsuits. What really does that look like? What are the negligent hiring cases looking like to make sure that we're aligned? Our security folks made sure to look inwardly as well. How are we connected with our judicial system in the city? What kinds of things are we seeing in the city that we can bring into Hopkins, or that we definitely have to stay away from? So very violent crimes in healthcare, depending on how long that crime had taken place, definitely is still a challenge for us. And in HR, where it was the real serious, not that the others weren't serious, but I'm in HR, so where we really had to unpack things, processes that were old and antiquated and had a purpose maybe 50 years ago, but is it relevant now? What is the journey of an applicant when they have to come through our process? And while we're in the midst of it, we definitely need to come outside of ourselves and talk to those that have to journey through it to make sure that we're understanding truly what that experience is. And we got a lot of information from that. Who's checking the background? Do they know what they're looking at? Or is it easy just to say someone got a hit on the background and so I'm not going to even look at them? And therein lies, I think, at the foundation where we have turned away in the past, before we've done this work, really talented folks that could help us do our jobs better. Our job descriptions, the educational level and the work experience, are those relevant to the job, or are they nice to haves? Those nice to haves are barriers to folks who could really do great work in your organization. And then what's the culture? What is the culture and environment? We can keep going. It's a long, what is the culture? It's not just about hiring people and bringing them in, but then what happens to them when they're in your organization? Are there opportunities for growth and development? Things that keep people engaged? Do they see a career path, not just a job? And how do we provide support mechanisms for employees to to be able to stay engaged, remain with us. And most importantly, as we're looking internally at all of this cannot be the process or the work that we do for those people. Your whole system has to kind of evolve so that the process we've put in place is what goes for everyone that applies. And I share that because I know some folks will say, oh, we have this justice involved program or this ex-offender program or this reentry program. And, you know, I'm always a little nervous about this separate but equal kind of experience. We know that that really doesn't work. And so you set yourself up for disparate treatment. So the changes that you're making really have to be systemic, salud. And you can start small, but start. And it sounds like you're a state and with these employers all here that you have started. And so healthcare, it's very interesting in a health system. What I love about working in a health system is that we have almost every job that you can find in a city. It's not only about being a doctor or a nurse, even though that's very important, but there's licensing and other things that come with those jobs. But aside from those jobs, we have folks who do customer service, finance, IT, HR. They work in logistics, transportation, food service, facilities, engineering, housekeeping, patient transport. There is a myriad of opportunities to really engage at all levels, entry to up, individuals within our community that could come in and work. And so as you're looking at your place of employment, where are there ports of entry that you may not realize that you have, that you could really leverage for those in our community that are disenfranchised and trying to get in? I said that this is something that is done in partnerships. So one of the things, once we've did all of that, we then made sure that we were following the EEO's guidelines for looking at someone coming in with a criminal record. And we have someone who does the case-by-case analysis of a person that comes through that may have a background. We've banned the box. We have gotten through the process. We have this individual who will check and who has knowledge and a history in the criminal justice system, so they understand what the backgrounds say, recognize when there's something relevant, and recognize when there's nothing to that background at all. And so, and thus enabling us to hire someone. And they do that risk. They do that risk assessment. And we don't compromise the standards. So that's to say that, and we've never had to, that there are talented people who've made mistakes and are coming back to our communities with skills and knowledge and transferable skills that we need. And so in our partnerships, we work with our mayor's office of employment development. We work with our Department of Labor. We're looking for ways in our community-based organizations, bringing them in, helping them understand the jobs that we have so that the trainings are actually training folks for the jobs that we need filled and the jobs that we know are coming down the pike. And that, I think, is really critical because I know, so that means a constant connection with post-secondary educational institutions, community-based organizations that are receiving grants or apprenticeships, because we use those a lot as well, and actually partnering with them to create the training so that we know that it's meeting the needs of our current jobs and future openings. We partner with the school system, the secondary school system. We have a career and technology education, a vocational tech, if you want to go back a couple of decades, and making sure that, again, from our more long-term pipeline, that we are connecting with young people for jobs and helping them learn about and be exposed to jobs that they may not know exist by experiential learning experiences, through our youth programs, through those partnerships, lecture series, and through the career and technology education space, even hiring some who may not be on the road to college right away, so that they're not what we call opportunity youth in Maryland. You may call them opportunity youth here, but folks that have graduated high school, are not on the pathway to college right away, and are just out in limbo, trying to guide them to employment and to an employer that would pay for your college, so that they can move forward. Some of our programs, and you'll see some of the things that we have been able to do with that. On average, we hire between 5 to 10% of our 5 to 10% of the individuals that we hire each year have a criminal background. So on average, we hire about 1,000 to about 1,300 people each year. We receive about 10,000 applications a month. And of that, I would say that about 120, and I have some stats here for you as well, to share that with making those tweaks, we've been able to substantially increase the number of individuals with a criminal background or who were formerly incarcerated to our organization. And so, for example, I can tell you, and I don't know if we can get to, I think you need to kind of click through quickly. I would love to show, but I can read for you, and I'll start with our most recent study, and I'm overdue for another. We did a study 3 years, a 3-year study from 2009 to 2012. We did a comparison of our hires. How many people did we hire over that time, and how many of those individuals had a criminal background? And that third study, we hired between January 2009 and June of 2012, 459 individuals who were formerly incarcerated or have a criminal background. That was 10% of our hires at that time. The median earnings were the same because we follow the job description. So if we hired someone with a bachelor's degree, they earned what folks in the job class family with bachelor's degrees earned. Our tenure, which I think is going to be important to share, was similar to hires that did not come in with a criminal background. So the hires that were done during that time, we did a study in 2014 to see who was still here. 69% of those who were hired during that period were still employed by the end of 2014. That number was 71% for those who didn't have a criminal background. And we're trying to get, because we know that employers need numbers, so we're trying to get a little deeper with our study, in part for the services that we're trying to provide and targeting our employees, and also to share this information to say that there's really no discernible difference if you maintain your standards, but also really critically look at how you may be creating barriers for individuals that could otherwise be great employees. There was no discernible turnover in the first 30 to 40 months of employment. No turnover. And so now what we're looking for, and what I can say is that those who have been hired that were justice involved are one of the most engaged. And when I mean engaged, that they're willing to come in early, stay a little late, help others. The customer service, the attitude, and most importantly, the hunger to learn and grow is beyond understanding. And so that's why I said it's so important to make sure that you also have a pathway for folks to grow. And what I can say about our two other areas where we're trying to really expand our reach. Hopkins Local, I dared not ask you to go to that website to show the work that we're doing with Hopkins Local is our economic inclusion initiative around hiring, purchasing, building, and investments. And if you go to the website, you can see our year. This is our most recent report, our third year progress report. And I wish I could show that to you, but I can send this all to you through Scott. And I'll just focus on the hire. We across the health system and the university, which are separate employers at Hopkins, but there's shared services and ways that we work together. What this forced us to do was to really work a little bit more closely together where we could, recognizing that the clients on the university side is very different from the health system side. Our patients are our community residents and vice versa. Our staff and our managers and supervisors are constantly working with our community residents. And our university is with, although hiring in locally, are also beginning to connect more and more with community in the way that we do at the health system from employment. Universities tend to connect with their community in a lot of other ways, through post-secondary education and working with the secondary school systems and a lot of different other ways. And so we're bringing those two strengths to bear to really impact our most distressed neighborhoods, high unemployment. And unemployment is only a record of those who are walking in the door trying to file and get work. There's a whole cadre of folks who have given up on the workforce system, who are now what I call in an alternate economy that we're not even tapping into. So that's the next layer that we definitely need to make sure, and something that we're trying to address with the Workforce Development Board. But we've done our first 3 years. We set a target of trying to make sure that we have jobs that would be low barriers to entry for folks in these distressed zip codes. And we were saying that we would hire 40% of our hires would be in those jobs, but they would be in those zip codes. Our first year, we hired 43%. Our second year, 45%. And our third year, 2018, 47%. There were a total of 1,018 Baltimore City residents hired in those jobs, which were from those distressed zip codes. And those jobs were like an administrative coordinator on the university side, or a patient service coordinator. We had our nutrition and our housekeeping. We had patient transport. Of the 1,018, 402 were returning citizens that were hired over those 3 years. Of the 1,402 were individuals who were returning citizens or folks that had a criminal background. So we were trying to definitely make sure that through employment, we were reaching folks in an area that wanted and needed these opportunities to work and were talented. And again, we did not abbreviate or compromise on the standards. We turned away people as well. Our investments and our procurement, if we focused on minority and women-owned businesses, tried to support entrepreneurship, partnered with the 10,000 small businesses to help our community businesses grow and thrive. And with the buying power of what we call eds and meds and other organizations, if we were purchasing items en masse that were not coming from companies that were in Baltimore, and we said, we have enough buying power that you need to open up an office in Baltimore and start to hire and bring some businesses to the area. And we've done that at Hopkins. We're targeting now. We We've made the jobs any job now instead of those targeted entry and any zip code. And what we're also doing is connecting it with something that we call B-Local, Baltimore Local. So we have BG&E and Under Armour and a host of other employers in the city adopting the same model. With our construction, we're trying to make sure that as we put bids out, and I've been at Hopkins for 15 years, there has not been a year that there wasn't an orange fence or cone at some part of the campus with some construction, some work, some improvement taking place. And we have so many universities in Baltimore, here. How do we get our contractors and subcontractors to hire locally and put that as a part of the requirement to consider for getting the contracts for us? How you doing? I remember you from a little while ago when I came. Sorry. See a familiar face. And so that's one of the ways. Another way to get creative and think about, so we have the Health Services Rate Commission, the HSCRC. It's only Maryland does it. It's the commission that sets our rates for Medicare, Medicaid. And what we did, we have 9 hospitals in Baltimore that petitioned the commission to increase our rates, and the interest and the extra dollars that we got, we put towards a jobs program where, very similar to Hopkins Local, we're targeting distressed neighborhoods, but we're focusing the jobs on jobs that impact population health, community health workers, and peer recovery specialists. And that has been really, really, really well received. We partner with our community-based organizations, and when you think about those 2 roles, these are individuals that are getting training in what's a relatively short-term training program, but then they're helping folks that are coming through the ED or through the hospital or any of our community facilities, and making sure that as they're being discharged, going home, making sure that everything is going okay with their medications and the like, given the Affordable Care Act and that impact that it's had with CMS on health systems, adding value to the care that's being provided. But peer recovery specialists, I'm very excited about, because again, it gets to the heart of the opioid crisis, and we're looking for individuals. You had to have been an addict. You have to have been a recovering addict and have recovered to get that job, to help others who are going through what you successfully went through. And so we definitely try to make strategic moves in pipelining with our community-based partners, looking strategically at jobs and opportunities where we know that we can make a difference, to pipeline populations that heretofore would have been overlooked. But again, it's a part of the regular process. So what we're doing for folks that are justice involved, we include individuals with disabilities, another population that has a lot of talent and ability but gets overlooked and is high in unemployment, and others who may have just fallen off of the radar, and in partnership looking at how we can create a network of support that helps people get in and understand our process. Once they're in, onboarded, get their sea legs or get their legs sort of strengthened so that then they understand how they can grow within the organization. The one piece that we have, and I'll sort of stop here, in our office we have career coaches that work with the case managers in our community-based organizations, and that's the only way that our office will work, because we know that our community-based and state agencies are designed to help get our residents employer ready. So we partner with our CBOs and government agencies, one, in helping them understand our organization and our jobs so that they can continue to prepare folks that would be competitive applicants for us. And then we help those applicants navigate and negotiate the process of getting hired and filling out the application, and advocate on the other end with our recruiters and the hiring managers, because we usually pull them in. We have on-the-job training opportunities for community adults. And so imagine with 10,000 applications a month, we have this opportunity for folks, and someone mentioned it earlier, you have limited work experience or spotty work experience. You may have some of these other issues. The on-the-job training opportunity is to help someone build that work experience. And some of our departments have adjusted their job descriptions to say, if this job requires 2 years of employment or your participation in our strategic workforce development on-the-job training. So you may not be able to demonstrate 2 years of work experience, but given what we do with the on-the-job training, those hiring managers will say, if you come through that program, that would be the equivalent for us in the years of work experience that we're looking for, recognizing that, again, where can we make some logical accommodations or across the board. And so we have folks that have a criminal justice background, some who have just separated from the workforce, other that come through, learn something on the job, and we usually target departments that are hiring. And we give up to 90 days, because for some of our union positions, after 90 days, you have to be hired formally. It takes 4 to 5 weeks for a hiring manager to have one of our interns come in and say, okay, let's get them through the regular hiring process, because they have demonstrated the work ethic, and that's the person that has a little bit of a leg up over the thousands of applications that are just a name on a page that folks are sifting through. You've had this opportunity to connect. And so there are, I share all of that to say, think about how your organization, and just start small, but know that with the intent of continuing to grow that model internally. I'll stop here and just say thank you so much. I'm very, very inspired and encouraged by this room full of employers who are all recognizing that you're not going to miss the talent that's in your community because of a disability or a background, and that you're looking for ways to make that grow. So 10,000 hires. 10,000 hires, we're going to do this. We're going to make it happen. So thank you so much.
Just real quickly, we're going to talk next steps and let you finish closing those billion-dollar deals. What we're going to do is now break down into, we're going to be setting up meetings across the state for industry meetings now. So we'll have a healthcare meeting. We'll have an advanced manufacturing meeting, bring all the advanced manufacturing leadership together. The construction, transportation with the bus, the railroads, trains, airports, Uber and Lyft are on board. The hotel and restaurant industry, the insurance industry, the casinos, the universities, parking, definitely parking. We're going to reach out to the big box stores, Walmart, Target, the Lowe's, the Home Depots, the grocery stores, Amazon, etc. Technology and information technology. We will reach out to the human resource experts, the DECD, university leadership, CBIA, the Department of Corrections, the workforce development agencies, and the formerly incarcerated. Make sure that they're at the table. We will train, and make sure that there's jobs at the end. We will be counting jobs. As we sit these individuals around the table, we will be collaborating around training, meeting with human resource directors once again, and coming with the best practices and the best industry models. We have a website that's currently under construction, but until then, please follow us on social media at the Million Jobs Campaign on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, And we don't have Snapchat yet, but we're working on that for the young people. And we want to thank you all for coming, and please make sure that we have your information at the front desk. We want to continue to communicate with you, continue to network with you, and continue to push for the Million Jobs campaign. Thank you so much for coming out, and have a wonderful day.